Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to my crib. I'm here with 3 of my students from my upper level ESL class. They are all sophomores.
Yeah.
Yes, they're all sophomores.
Yeah.
Do you guys all live in the same dorm?
No, we're roommates.
Yeah. These 2 are roommates, and they're all new to Suffield this year, so have a fresh perspective on everything. And today, maybe it was yesterday, you guys took the survey yesterday?
We did.
On accents, and so we're just going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, I want you guys to introduce yourself, where you're from, and anything else you want to share with the group.
Okay, I can go first.
Okay.
I guess. My name is Daria, and I'm from Moscow, Russia, and it's my 3rd year in America. So my English did improve in 3 years, but it was not that good. 3 years ago.
Where did you go to school before Suffield?
I went to junior boarding school in Connecticut, Ramsey, and I'm here. It's my 1st year.
Hello, my name is Amira. I'm from Saudi Arabia, and it's my 1st year boarding in Suffield, Connecticut in America. And I'm very excited to do this interview in the crib.
I'm Maggie. I'm from Norway, and my sister graduated from here last year, and it's my 1st year. And Amira's my roommate.
Yay! Okay, good. All right, so on your survey, one of the questions was, do you ever feel like you're perceived differently for having a foreign accent? And you 3, a lot of people actually said no, but you 3 said yes. So do you guys want to just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like introducing yourself to people and you're speaking with, your original accent.
Do you feel like you have a strong foreign accent?
Not really, but like during like these past recently during these past few weeks, like people have been saying like I say some things really differently, and then they keep like saying you say it like that, and I'm like no I don't, but then they like repeat it in front of me, and I'm just like oh okay. It's just
So how does that make you feel?
Like I feel like I don't know, like it just makes me feel like maybe my English is really, really bad sometimes.
Even though you think you're speaking correctly, based on your accent, people make you feel like it's wrong?
Yeah, and then when I say like, oh, I'm taking ATS, and they say, why do you need that? I'm like, to help my grammar, and they just go like, oh, okay. And then it's just like, oh, like, so I need to take like a 2nd English class.
I love this.
But I love our class, yeah, like I don't mind, just go like, yeah, I'm an ATS.
Yeah, what?
Don't talk to me. If you don't like me, don't talk to me.
So do you either of you 2 feel like it's sometimes a negative thing, like you're perceived in a negative way?
Yeah, when I just moved to America, I had like a strong accent, and like that was what motivated me to improve, because I felt really uncomfortable when people would repeat after me like things I'd say, and like because I would say it in a different way, like because of my accent, which would make me feel really uncomfortable, and like people would make fun of me, and like they think it's like a lot of people think it's funny and cute, but when they like I know that people notice it, but when they like say it out loud, it makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when they point out differences, they're not maybe doing it to make you feel uncomfortable, but it makes you.
Yeah, people often say to me that they think like accents are cute, or like they think it's cool that you have like a different accent, but I mean, normally it's like people don't ask about it that much, I feel like.
Well, you said something a little bit more positive about.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Well, people often ask me like where I'm from because I have a little bit of an accent. So I tell them I'm from Norway, and they're like, "Oh, that's so cool! Like, have you been to America before?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I go with my mom, and when my sister used to go here, I went here sometimes to visit. And yeah, I think they often like think of it as cool, like before, and it's kind of cool and different.
So you kind of take it as like you guys all say like people notice and comment on it, but you guys kind of get a little bit frustrated by it, whereas you try to look at it more as like, oh, they think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I think it depends what they say too, though, because often they are like, oh, that's so cool, but sometimes they're just like, oh, you have like a little bit of an accent, and I'm like, yeah, I've heard.
I feel like when they point it out, it makes me feel like they mean that like my English is worse than theirs, and I mean like it's an obvious thing because it's not my like first language, but also it makes me feel like they're saying that they're better, even though I try so
Yeah,
hard, like much
yeah.
harder than they do, because it's my second language.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you mean.
Try speaking Russian,
Yeah.
right?
And then,
Are
like,
you, so go ahead.
and like also in some classes, sorry.
Do you need some drink?
No, it's okay. I'm no, it's fine. Keep it for you. For you and the baby. You know, like in class because some English words are hard to understand, even though like the usual like the other American students they find it really easy, and the teacher's like, oh, like do you need a dictionary? Do you need more help? And she always like stands around me, and I just feel like, oh, maybe like when people look at me, they feel like I don't know, it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've had that
It's
too.
just like yeah,
we're
like
reading,
they don't
like,
understand you.
Are these people that are international students or international people, or are these mostly people whose first language is English?
Yes,
I think first language is English.
Well, we were reading 12th Night in English, and they're like, it's old English, so it's really hard to understand. And then there's also like a lot of like new vocab that I've never heard before. So I was like reading this long paragraph because I was like acting out one of the characters, and he had a long paragraph, and I was reading it, and there was like a lot of hard words. So like one of the guys in class like said, like the guy that sat next to me like said the words out before I said them, like as in I couldn't pronounce them, which was kind of like it just made me feel like worse about my English, and like even though like I probably couldn't pronounce them anyways, it just makes me feel bad that like he had to like say it out.
He didn't even let you try.
Yeah, but he didn't mean it like as to make fun of me. He just tried to help me.
Do you think a lot of times people are trying to be helpful, but in the end, it's more frustrating than helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort. I mean, like the help is like you benefit from it. I mean, it's like I don't know, like when you're thankful. I don't know, when
grateful.
not grateful, like when you appreciate like their help, but like still you feel like, especially when you're around the students, you're just like, you know, you need more help, and they just like, oh, like why is she in this class? Maybe she needs to be in a lower class.
Do you feel like mostly people, like what percentage of the time do you feel like people comment on your, do you think it was on your accent? Do you think it was mostly at the beginning, or do you think it's like, you know, like 10% of the time, or do you feel like it's always, or do you, like how much
Maybe
does it affect you?
Like in the beginning, maybe a little bit, but also like if you have like a long conversation with the person you don't really talk that much to, like they can comment on it, but they often just bring it up like at the end, like it's like a compliment, but it's like it just comes up sometimes.
A compliment when someone is like telling me that you have an accent.
No, but like I would like act like offended. I'd be like, really, like I don't feel like I have like such a strong accent, but then he's like, oh, it's like cute, or like it's nice, like people think it's cool that people have like different accents and stuff, so then I'll be like, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say that it happened to me a lot when I just got to America. Like I even felt like
3 years ago, or
like when I just got to America, so it was like 3 years ago. And like in the beginning, I was like uncomfortable even like making friends because I had this like language for a year. And I felt like I was like thinking it over in my head before I actually say something, because like I wanted it to sound right just so people don't comment on it. But it's getting better with time.
Yeah.
So do you think people at Suffield are more under, like it's not as bad as when you first got here, or?
Well, yeah, but it's also because my English improved.
Okay. All right. So let's transition. So there's also a question on here. Do you guys have any opinions about international speakers who have no foreign accent? And you guys all said yes. So can you just talk about how you guys feel about when someone looks international, but
Oh no, I understand. Sorry, I was like, international.
I think that like I often think that it's cool, but then I often think that like, oh, they probably like lived here for a long time, or like grew up here, or like had like English as a language at home as well as like their other language. So I often think that way, even though it's like it might not be true, but
Yeah, probably because for example, if someone was coming from Spain, but their parents have maybe worked in America their whole lives, and you know they were born here, they're obviously going to go to an American school and just gain the American accent because they're not surrounded by like Spanish people. So like imagine Javi like if you saw him and then he starts speaking like with the proper American accent, because you already see him, he's like he looks Spanish, like very Spanish, but he talks an American accent. You probably say like, oh, have you lived here for a long time?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's cool too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be international, also have like the proper accent for like English.
Yeah, I think it's very impressive. Like if I
Yeah.
meet someone that looks foreign or like is foreign and like I hear no accent, like I feel like it's just so cool and like I respect those people a lot because I know how much effort they put in it. Because like I basically like I've been through this and I know how hard it is to like work on like your pronunciation and everything. So I just feel like I respect them a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Like I was just thinking about it. Like they probably like put in a lot of work. Like especially if they speak like 2 languages like fluently, that they like put in a lot of work to like keep those grammars, like the grammar of those languages like separated and like learning both of them. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, sometimes maybe even if you look international, they might only speak English. As well. So it's hard to tell based on what you look like. I want to bring up something. Another person, Zoe, said that sometimes she feels jealous about people who look international but speak with no accent. Do you guys agree, or do you not really?
I haven't.
Are you more like just impressed and think it's cool, but doesn't really?
I feel like sometimes it does because it's like they have like their language and they have like they can totally speak American, and people won't maybe point out their flaws in an accent. Like they will be like, oh wow, you can speak American fluently and your language, and like.
So if you think if that person with no accent was speaking English and made the same mistakes as you, but you have an accent, do you think that they would correct you but not the other person?
I feel
Or do you
like
think?
well, even like on text when someone is like messaging, if like an American person makes like an error, everyone's just like, okay, it's just a typo. But if you do, it's like, oh, you're so Russian.
Yeah.
For sure.
I haven't thought about that before, but when you like say it, I kind of agree because I haven't thought about that before. But often, like if you see something like someone wearing like some cool shoes or something, you're like, oh, I'm kind of jealous of those, but they're so cool. Like,
It's like in a good way. You're
Yeah.
jealous, but not
Yeah.
like.
So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
wanna-
more like, oh wow, I want to be like that someday
Yeah.
kind of thing. Cool. All right, I think this is actually getting kind of long, so I think we can wrap this up. But is there anything else you guys want to say about having anything to do with like your accents or being at Suffield or in general or other people with accents or anything like that?
I feel like here it's so like diverse, so people don't really like
Judge
make
you.
fun of you or
judge
judge you for it. But like other places, it might be like different. If you went to like a public school where there's mostly Americans, like it would be different. But here it's so diverse, so I think.
So you feel like at Suffield it's you're judged less based on your accent than in other places?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And like because they also I've like when you talk to some Americans, they say like, oh, I wish I spoke a second language, and it kind of makes you feel good about yourself. That you're an international student.
Absolutely.
Because like people also like really like to like learn about you and your background.
You find that here, like people
Yeah,
are
a lot of
interested
people
in.
here.
Yeah.
You guys all find that?
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of people ask.
Because,
like,
like,
especially
yeah.
I don't know.
Because in my old school, there was just a lot, like, it was an international school, but there were mostly Arabs. So only when maybe an American student or a student from, for example, Russia or Norway would come, they'd be like, oh, wow, that's impressive.
But they didn't
But
have
I
so
would
much
just be
care.
like, I'm in the corner.
I don't have anything new to say. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Dora?
Me?
Yeah. Anything else?
Anything else? Let me think. Well.
You don't have.
Yeah, I know.
You're good.
Yeah,
All right. You having fun here? You're
Yeah.
at Suffield.
I am having fun.
You guys all having a good experience so
it's
far?
nice. Hopefully for a long time for the sophomore, senior. Is it 2 or 3 years?
It's 3 more
3
years.
years. No, but isn't it only junior and senior? So that's 2 years.
No,
2
it's
more
like
years.
2.5
But
years.
this is already 1 year.
Well,
we are
yeah, we're
halfway
halfway through, right? So you have 2.5 more years.
Why a half?
Because we're in the middle of our
Oh, 15! Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Right, you have to
I'm
finish
so
your
bad.
sophomore year, right?
Yeah.
And we're in like winter, so we
Yeah.
have that, and then plus 2 more years after that.
I always forget that after December it's a new year. Until like we actually have a new year's.
True. So peace out from our crib.
Peace out. Thank you for watching.
Thank you guys for listening.
Subscribe. Like. Follow our Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you for Nick for filming.